In a slim 1976 book entitled The Denationalization of Money, the Nobel Prize winning economist F.A. Hayek put forward a novel proposal for private monies. The monies Hayek had in mind were not like the privately issued banknotes of the past, which the holder could take to the issuing bank and redeem for gold or silver coins. Instead, Hayek's plan called for irredeemable monies. In some ways, Hayek's theoretical proposal resembles the market for cryptocurrencies that emerged over the past decade. Hayek quite reasonably blamed governments for the great inflation of the 1970s. Governments had monopolized the provision of currency, eliminated the contractual obligation to redeem notes for gold and silver, and then increased the supply of the now irredeemable monies significantly. Naturally, inflation followed. The solution, according to Hayek, was to allow competition in currency by demonopolizing and denationalizing money. Under Hayek's proposal, private individuals and businesses would be free to offer their own irredeemable monies to compete with the government-issued irredeemable money already in circulation. Hayek believed users would switch to currencies they found better, and that the prospect of gaining customers would prompt private issuers to offer superior alternatives. Governments would then have to improve their currencies or risk losing market share to private providers. How might these private currencies be managed? Hayek assumed that individuals would prefer currencies with a more stable purchasing power. If so, private providers would manage their currencies so that a unit of currency would reliably continue to purchase a given basket of commodities. A stable money is attractive because it eliminates the negative return on the money you hold, sometimes called the inflation tax. It lowers the inflation risk associated with long-term contracts in money units. It also eliminates the unnecessary price adjustments that come with inflation, and it makes it easier for consumers to compare prices over time. Those who've examined Hayek's proposal have noted three potential problems. First, it's not so obvious that users would prefer a money that has a stable purchasing power. Perhaps they would prefer a money that has a positive return, comparable to other assets. Or perhaps they would prefer a money that stabilizes nominal income. It's just hard to know what users would prefer in advance. Second, Hayek seems to underestimate the importance of network effects. The usefulness of a particular money depends crucially on the number of others willing to accept it. Most of us would be reluctant to switch to even a better money that few people around us use. Otherwise, Americans would be using Swiss francs. The cost of exchanging currencies means that it would be costly for an employer to pay wages to different employees in different currencies, or for most employees to convert their salaries each payday. We're more likely to see convergence on a relatively reliable common money unit than we are to see the scenario Hayek envisions, where dozens of distinct monies simultaneously circulate in the same area. Finally, Hayek doesn't seriously enough consider the issuer's temptation to renege. In order to gain market share, private issuers must promise to manage their monies well. But once a money is widely used, the issuer has a strong incentive to break that promise. Indeed, since issuers have no legal obligation to redeem their outstanding notes, they might expand their supply without limit. In some sense, cryptocurrencies have put Hayek's thought experiment into practice. Privately issued cryptocurrencies compete directly with traditional government-issued monies. Unlike gold, silver, and salt, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ether, and Dash have no obvious non-monetary use. They're not commodities, nor are they redeemable for commodities. Rather, they're privately issued irredeemable monies, much as Hayek envisioned. However, most cryptocurrencies clearly differ from Hayek's vision in that they don't propose a stable purchasing power. Instead, to overcome the problem of reneging, the issuers credibly commit to the quantity that they will issue. They pre-program an issuing schedule into the cryptocurrency's code. The supply of Bitcoin, for example, expands by a predetermined amount in 10-minute intervals. Thus, we already know how many Bitcoin units will exist at this time next year. Pre-programming removes the ability to renege later when the temptation to do so is strong. A few cryptocurrencies, like Tether, aim to fix their exchange rate against the US dollar or the euro. Others against gold, or to stabilize purchasing power against goods and services. However, these stable coins have failed to gain much market share to date. Perhaps few individuals want a coin that lacks the potential for upward appreciation, or perhaps network effects discourage switching to what might be a superior medium of exchange, or some combination of the two. The market for cryptocurrencies is still pretty new. Bitcoin launched just a decade ago. New currency ideas continue to be developed and launched, so it's probably too early to say how things will shake out. Hayek was clearly on to something with potential when he proposed allowing private alternatives to poorly managed government monies. But as Hayek also wrote elsewhere, competition is a discovery procedure. We need to let it work to reveal what types of money people want most and how best to provide them. Or as cryptocurrency pioneer Nick Szabo has written, the unsettled questions about cryptocurrency, quote, can only be settled by actually fielding them and seeing how they work in practice.